system can understand easily. Then by executing, then the system can give the response back quickly. Okay. So, but the human cannot understand this binary language. Okay, that is a difficult. Human can understand, but that is a difficult process. So, high level language, one more language for the programmer, and one language for the system. So that is a binary language. That is a fixed one. But for the human or who are interacting with the computer, so for that people, one language, that is a high level language. So that is just like a English sentences. Okay. Okay, so there are the different kind of high level languages. Okay, first of all, languages are three categories. One is a high level language, middle level language, low level language. So different names are also there. High level language. The next middle level language, one more name is assembly level language. Then low level language, or machinery level language, or binary language. Okay, so these are the three names for low level. Okay. So computer can understand the low level language, human can understand high level language. Okay, one more intermediate language, that is a assembly level language. Okay, so the user has to give to the computer in the form of high level instructions, high level statements. The statements have to be converted into the low level. So for that, one translator is required between the user and computer. So the translator, is going to translate. Yes. So now I am sharing the screen. So I am presenting the screen. Yes. Now you tell me whether my screen is visible or not. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Then remaining, Sana, Rachana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So first, yeah, that is high level language. So translator is going to translate high level statements into, yes. So translator. So this translator is nothing but any program. It is a software, any program. So that converts high level language program to machine language, machine code, or low level language. Okay, that is the definition of translator. Yes, translator, any program. So that is a program or software that converts a high level language program to low level code, machine level language. Okay, so there are different kind of translators. So what are the different kind of translators? Yes, tell me. In the last class I told you. So translators.
Compiler, interpreter, and assembler.
Yes, very good. So types of translators. First one is a compiler. So compiler. Then second one is interpreter. Then third one is a assembler. Okay, these are the three types of translators. Okay. Yeah, compiler is going to translate high level language to middle level language. Okay, high level language to middle level language. Okay, so compiler, so that is also a program or software that reads a code in one language, that is a source code, and to translate it into another language, that is a target language. In compiler we call it as a target language here, but the target language, so that is nothing but assembly level language or middle level language. Okay. Okay, so compiler is going to, compiler is nothing but a program or software. It is a software or a program. Okay, that is going to translate this high level language. That means one language, high level language to low level, not low level, middle level language. That is a assembly level language. Okay, so source program, here we have to give one program to the compiler. Okay, that is a source program, that is as an input. So now compiler is going to translate into target program. Here target program is a assembly program, assembly level program, middle level language. Okay, that is. The next one is a interpreter. Interpreter is another type of translator. Here one more thing we can say that. So in the compiler, first we'll give the source program to the compiler. So now compiler is going to translate this source program. That means high level program, okay, which is in the high level language, into target program, okay, which is in the assembly level or middle level. Okay. So after compilation, already I told you what. So if you want to execute one program, so three files can be created. One is if it is a C program, so .c file, what .c file. The next one is a .obj file, The next .exe file. So these are the three types of files created. So three types of files created when a program is executed. So if one program is executed successfully, okay, in the bin directory, in the turbo C or turbo C++, in that, so these three files are created for one program. Okay, .c file is a source file, your source program. Okay, this .c file consists of source program. Then after compilation, obj file after target program. So after getting a target program, that means objective file is created. Okay, this objective file is going to take input. Okay, so if one program is there, for example, addition of two numbers. So in the runtime, we supposed to give two numbers as an input. Okay, so that is the runtime installation. Okay, so this program, after creating a .obj file, we supposed to give these two numbers as an input to this file, to the target program. So this target obj file is going to be executed on the machine to give the output. So after giving the output, .exe file is created, execution file is created. Okay, in the compiler. But in the interpreter, not like that. So interpreter also a kind of language processor. We can say that it is a kind of translator. So which does not produce a target program here as a translation, but to directly execute the operations specified in the source program on input supplied by the user. Okay, it is a different another type of definition for interpreter. Okay, simply we can say that interpreter is also a type of translator which translates high level language into directly into binary language or machine level language. Okay, but what is the difference between compiler and interpreter? So in the compiler, after creating the objective file, we supposed to give the input. But in the interpreter, not like that. We supposed to give the source program and the input at the same time to the interpreter. Then interpreter is going to directly give the output. That means what it is directly going to translate high level language into low level language. So machinery level language. Okay. So this is one major different source program and target program. But your source program plus input is applied to the interpreter. So interpreter is going to directly give output. If no errors, if it is syntactically, semantically right, then directly it is going to give output. Okay, clear? Yes, respond. Yes. Arushi, respond ma.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is a difference between the, not only this is one difference. We'll see later what are the differences. This is also one important question, differences between the compiler and the interpreter. Compiler translates the entire program at a time, but interpreter is going to translate line by line. Okay, so if any errors are there in that, then it will stop that translation process, okay, until correcting the error. But in the compiler, entire program is translated. If any errors are there, those will be reported. So until correcting that errors, then again the source program from starting onwards it will be translated. But in the interpreter, not like that. Line by line execution. If one error is there in one line, particular line, then it will stop over there until correcting that error. Then it will move to the next line. Okay, like that. The translation process is done line by line in the interpreter, but compiler at a time, all lines scanning and translating at a time. If any errors are there, those will be reported in the end. But in the interpreter, at the same line. Okay, that is okay. Already I told you some examples also. Which language uses the compiler, which language uses the interpreter, then which language uses both compiler and interpreter in the last class. Okay, so C, C++, these languages uses compiler as a translator, then Python, then PHP. So these are the these languages use interpreter as a translator. Okay, Java, but Java uses both compiler and interpreter. So in order to get the bytecode and execution also. Okay, so that is called interpretive compiler. Java uses interpretive compiler. Okay, then next topic is a language pre-processing system or context of the compiler or cousins of the compiler. Okay, these are the three different names. The same answer for this: language pre-processing system or cousins of the compiler or context of the compiler. Okay, in the last class I told you compiler. So compiler design here, C, C++ uses a compiler. Most of the languages use a compiler as a translator. Here not only compiler can execute a program, so it some other tools also required along with the compiler to execute a program. So those are called cousins of compiler. Okay, along with the compiler, some other tools, some other softwares also required to execute a program completely. Okay, that topic we are going to discuss in this. So that is called language pre-processing or cousins of the compiler or context of the compiler. Okay, so first one is a first source program, that is a what we can say skeleton program. So skeleton, there is no structure. That is there here. Yes. So skeleton source program. Skeleton source program is given to the preprocessor. Okay, here preprocessor, compiler, assembler, loader, or link editor. So these four. So these three: preprocessor, assembler, loader, or linker. These three are used along with the compiler. Okay, so compiler require additional tools, additional programs, additional softwares like preprocessor, assembler, loader, or linker. So these all are required to execute one program completely. Okay, so first in the first step, pre-processing. Okay, so here skeletal source program is given, okay, which has no structure. So that is given to the preprocessor. So in this preprocessor is going to do something. It is going to perform some functionalities like macro processing, file inclusion, rational preprocessor, language extensions. So these are the different functionalities can be performed. Okay, so your topic is what? Context of the compiler. So different names are there. Context of the compiler. Okay, for this you supposed to draw this diagram. This diagram is important for this topic: context of the compiler or language pre-processing or cousins of compiler. Okay, So first one is a what preprocessor. Preprocessor. So this is a first step. Here, which one? Macro processing. So pre-processing is nothing but something is added to the skeleton source program. So skeleton source program is nothing but a program, simple program that doesn't have any structure. Okay, to make some structure, to give some meaningful to that source program, some steps can be performed in the pre-processing. That is a pre-process. Before processing, something is added, some functionalities can be performed. Okay, so here the first one is a macro processing. Second one is a file inclusion. File adding, that is file inclusion. Third one is a rational preprocessor. So rational preprocessor. Then language extensions. So language, some extensions. Okay, these four steps can be done. These four functionalities can be done in the pre-processing. So first we'll see one by one. First macro processing. So macro processing, here user-defined macros can be added in this step. For example, one program is here like finding area of a circle. So for that, what is that? Pi r square, that is a formula for that. So pi value, we don't have that type of symbol in this. Okay, that is a fixed value. Okay, so directly we can pass that value from the from this pre-processing. So like that we can give pi something 3.141 something value, fixed value. Okay, so to give that we have to give a definition like that is nothing but a macro processing. So for that syntax is hash define pi 3.141. So like that we can give in the program in the finding area of a circle, something like that. So hash define pi 3.141. Okay, so in the program directly we can use what? Pi. Okay, pi. So whenever pi is encountered in the program in the while execution, this value will be substituted. Okay, this is a macro adding that macro will be processed in the execution, the runtime. Okay, in place of pi, this value will be substituted. Okay, that is one. And one more thing like that, if you want to, so generally for printing, that means input and output statements, we use printf and scanf in C language. Okay, so printf, that means we supposed to write print print f. Okay, like this we have to write. But if you create a macro for this, so like this pf. So instead of printf, directly you can use pf or p. Okay, this is a macro, defining a macro. Okay, that will be processor. Okay, that is. So macro processing is nothing but a preprocessor may allow a user to define macros that are shorthands for longer constructs. Okay, so this macro processing, this is a preprocessor that allows a user to define macros that are shorthands for longer construct. This is a shortcut for a longer one. So instead of printf, you can use pf only. Okay, that is. The next one is a second one is a file inclusion. Second pre-processing step. This preprocessor may include header files into the program. Okay, header files, some predefined files like which one? stdio. Okay, conio, math, string, so something. So for that, what is a syntax? Hash include stdio.h. Okay, this is a header file is used. as include stdio.h. Okay, this is nothing but file inclusion. File inclusion, including some header files to this program, predefined files. Okay, predefined library can be added by using file inclusion. File including, okay, as include like this. Okay, this is a file inclusion. Second step of pre-processing. If required, you can use. So in the macro processing, I don't want to use this pf. I want to write printf. So no need to define this macro. No need to declare a macro. Directly you can use. Okay, this is optional. Okay, so next to file inclusion. Okay, this is for including the header files to the program by like this. Then third one is a rational preprocessor. Okay, these preprocessors argument to older languages with more modern flow of control and data structuring facilities. Okay, so this is for older languages. So if you want to give some flow, okay, from where the program is started, then how the flow is going in the program. So like that, if you want to specify that type of, then this rational preprocessor can be used. Okay, this is also optional one. If you require, you can use. Okay, that is. Then next one is language extensions. These preprocessor attempted to add capabilities to the language by certain amounts to build in macro. So language extensions. Okay. So for example, generally in as include stdio, we add which one, you predefined library files. Okay, then to the library we can add user defined extensions also, user defined. Okay, that is also possible. In other programming language we see we write one file separately. Okay, then we write one program, that is a main. We can add that code, we can add that file to this. That is actually user defined. User defined files can be added. That means this user defined file that can be included, added as a language extension to the library. Okay, that is coming under pre-processing only. Okay, so language extensions. This is a first step, pre-processing. So after doing the pre-processing, that program is called source program. Before that, skeleton source program. So now it is called source program. Okay, then next source program is given to the compiler as an input. Okay, now compiler is going to generate a target assembly program. So we'll see that. So compiler is a translate program that translates a program written in a high level language. The source program and translate it into equivalent middle level language, HLL at a high level language, middle level language, the target program. So as an important part of the compiler is error showing to the program. Okay, already I told you in this process. Okay, in this translation process, if any mistakes, if any errors are there, those will be reported. Okay, so source program is given to the compiler. So compiler is going to translate that into a target program, target assembly program. So in this process, if any errors are there, those will be reported. That is a error message. Okay, this is a compiler. Which one? Second step. Okay, so after compilation, what will get? Target assembly program. Okay. So here, and one more thing, the execution program written in high level programming language basically have two parts. The source program must first be compiled, translated into a object program. Okay, already I told you after translation, then we'll get object program. Okay, so now object program. So that to this input is given. Okay, so finally we'll get the output. So this source program must be compiled, translated into a object program. Then the result object program is loaded into the memory for execution. So while executing, it will take the input. Then according to the input, then it is going to give the output. Okay, clear? Yes, this is a compiler. So next one is what? Assembler. So assembler is going to it is also one type of translator. So programmers found it difficult to write or read operations in machine language. Okay, machine language directly, it is a difficult process. So they begin to use mnemonic. Okay, mnemonic, that is a symbols for each machine instruction. For each instruction, one symbol is going to be there. Okay, so by assembler, the programmer cannot write the binary language directly. Okay, that is a difficult process for a normal user. So assembler is used in the assembler. It consists of mnemonics for each machine instruction. One symbol is going to be there. Okay, that is also in the form of high level language, just like a high level language the user can easily understand. Okay, so which they would subsequently translate into machine language, such as a mnemonic machine language is now called as a assembly language. So mnemonic machine language, now it is called a assembly language. So programs known as assembler were written to automatic translation of assembly program into machine language. Okay, so here the input to assembler program is called source program. The output is a machine language. So translation, that is an object program. Okay, so input is what? Assembly level is a input which is from compiler, that is the input to the assembler. Then assembler is going to give a machine language, that is a binary language. Okay, so that is a assembler. Then next interpreter, that is also required to know. Interpreter is a program that appears to execute a source program as if it were machine language. So here it is also one type of translator. Input and source program is directly given to the interpreter. Interpreter is going to translate high level to directly machine level, binary level. Okay, so at the time of executing the instruction, then that whatever the input is provided along with the source program, that will be executed based on the input. This interpreter is going to give a output. Okay, so these are the languages. Basic, Snowball, Lisp can be translated using interpreters. Java also uses interpreter and compiler both. The process of interpretation can be carried out the following phases. Here lexical analysis, we will see that. Lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, direct execution in interpreter. But in the compiler, that is a different one. So in the interpreter, lexical analysis is that phase is used. Syntax analysis, semantic analysis. These are the first three phases of the compiler. Direct execution, no intermediate code, code optimization, code generation. Last three phases are not there. Directly execution. After semantic analysis, that program directly executed. Okay, so this is about the interpreter, and these are some advantages. So modification of user program can be easily made and implemented as execution proceeds. So modification of user program, that can be easily made. No need to compile from starting line of the program. Okay, that is one advantage. So type of object that denotes a various may change dynamically. So dynamically changing is possible, but in the compilers, that is a static one. So dynamically we cannot change. So debugging a program and finding error is a simplified task for a program used for interpretation. By in the line, any error is there in a particular line, it will stop over there. Okay, then we can easily debug the program where the mistake in which line it is. Okay, the interpreter for language makes it machine independent. Yes, this is a one major advantage for this interpreter. It makes this language, the whatever, that will be machine independent. So that code can be executed on any kind of machine, not a machine dependent. So after interpretation, what we are going to get, that code can be run on any type of machine. That is a machine independent, not a machine dependent. That is an advantage. The next, these are the disadvantages. Execution of the program is slower. Why? Until correcting the error, then it will not process. So proceed. Okay, it takes more time. Then memory consumption is more. Okay, this is also one disadvantage. It takes more memory compared to the compiler. Okay, so this is about interpreter advantage and disadvantages. Okay, yes, is it okay? Here, hello, ROC 63, respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next total of three completed. So next loader and link editor, loader and link editor, loader and link editor. Yes, once the assembler produces the object code, so from the assembler what we get object code, that is in a high level language object code. So the program must be placed into the memory and executed. Okay, so whatever the code is generated from the assembler, that code must be placed into the memory for execution. So the assembler could place the program object program directly in memory and transfer control to it. So thereby causing the machine language program to be executed. Okay, so here whatever the assembly code generated module by module, okay, or entire program at a time, first that have to be placed into the memory for execution. So if sufficient memory is not available, then it will place it into the secondary memory. So you know, primary memory and secondary memory, RAM and ROM. Okay, first it will place it into the RAM if you are directly executing. Okay, no problem. So otherwise it will place it into the secondary memory. Okay, and some what data files, some you predefined code that also be required to load. Okay, so that will be placed into the secondary memory, the module by module or function by function. Okay, so this would waste code by leaving the assembler in memory while the user's program was being executed. So it is not required to load that assembler into the memory. It will take some time. So we'll take the help of assembler to generate the source program into object program. Okay, after that memory cleaning is required. So whatever are there in the memory, so that have to be removed from the memory. In this process, first whatever the object code is generated, that will be placed into the secondary memory. So assembler is not placed into the secondary memory, so that will be removed from the main memory. Okay, so now main memory is free. So next what is required, whatever the object code is generated, that have to be loaded into the main memory again. That is important to execute the program, to run the program. Okay, so for that loading it into it from the secondary memory into the primary memory. Okay, with the help of loader. Clear? So compiler is going to translate high level to assembly with the help of assembler. Finally we'll get the object code. With the help of assembler we will get object code. Okay, so in the memory, what assembler is going to be there in the main memory, assembler will be loaded to generate the assembly code, or that is the object code. Okay, assembler is going to be loaded onto the main memory to generate the object code. So object code and assembler both are there in the main memory. Okay, so it is waste of the memory. Assembler work completed now. Okay, so remove that assembler. That means to clear the main memory. So next what? Execution is required. So whatever assembly code generated at object code generated, that will be moved into the secondary memory. Then directly assembler is removed from the main memory. So next what? In order to execute the program, again whatever is moved into the secondary memory, that is required to load to execute the program. Okay, that is with the help of loader. Okay, so next, if any module or their module by module are loaded into the secondary memory, linking is required between the modules. Okay, so that is loader and linker both will use it to load these objects, what modules from the secondary memory to primary memory. Okay, so to overcome this problem of wasted translation time and memory, system programmers developed another component called loader. So that is a loader with the help of loader. So loader is a program that places programs into memory and prepares them for execution. So it would be more efficient if subroutines could be translated into object form. The loader could reallocate directly behind the program's memory. The task of adjusting programs, they may be placed in attributary core locations is called relocation. Relocation loaders perform 4 functions. Okay, see here which one? Relocatable machine code that is required. Okay, so we mean the main memory, actually object code is transferred from main memory to the secondary memory. So in the secondary memory some address is required, that is a relocatable address. Okay, then absolute address is there in the main memory, relocatable address is there in the secondary memory. Okay, so to transfer that relocatable address to absolute address, loader is used with the help of loader. Then from the relocatable machine code to absolute machine code, that will be moved with the help of loader. So link editor also used if any library files or relocatable object files are required for that program. Link editor also used to link all the modules, all subroutines. They're clear? So that is a loader and linker. Okay? Yes, is it okay? Clear? Yes, respond.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is a first topic completed. What is that? Language processing system or context of the compiler or cousins of the compiler. Okay, so for this question you supposed to draw this diagram. You explain each and every step: pre-processing, compiler, assembler, and interpreter also. Next, last one is a loader and link editor. Okay, so this is also one of the important topic. Then what is the time? Okay, so then remaining we'll see in the next class. So translator, the next list of compilers, these are the different list of compilers. Then this one is a important structure of the compiler design. Structure of the compiler design. This is a 100% you are going to get this in the exam. Okay, these are the phases, just like a OSI reference model layers: lexical analyzer, syntax analyzer, semantic analyzer, intermediate code generator, code optimizer, code generator. Along with the 6 phases. 2 more are used. One is a symbol table manager, error handler. Okay, this is an important question. We'll see in the next class. Okay. Okay, so attendance. Already I told you. So everyone should join in the beginning of the class only. In the middle of the class, if you